There's a special place that I like to go, but nobody's home, to increase my understanding, my daily bread that amazing. I'm talking about precepts, precept on precept, line upon line, precept on precept, line upon line, babe. I can't keep explaining, can't study for you.
We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a nonviolent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Welcome back to another edition of Precept Upon Precept. We are your late night hosts. I'm Captain Shem.
Captain Matt.
Officer Micah.
Officer Yasa.
And like we always do on Thursday nights, by the way, real quick, if I didn't say it, is that Cap? Can you grab that? Show them the Booster Club. Listen, y'all, we just came back from an absolute epic worldwide blitz. And last week, Cap held it down on the show. I want to personally thank each and every one of you brothers and sisters who donate regularly to the Booster Club. You made it possible for us to go to over 30 missions, multiple countries, and I can tell you personally that the brothers and sisters of South Africa, they thank you. We have an opportunity to build with the people and spend some time with them, and we could never do this if it wasn't for the spirit the Most High put on y'all to donate. Please continue to donate. Also, we have a major event coming up this Sunday. It is going to be the National Land Blitz, which is going to be held throughout the Iuic schools, and you can also donate online. So stay tuned. Big weekend, big Sabbath coming up, big Sunday. All right, so y'all stay in the spirit. So like we do every precept upon precept, we start off with Officer Micah and the Watchmen Report. Take it away.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ. Bless. Good evening. Let's go ahead and get into the articles. There's a lot going on in the world. Scientists hail strongest evidence so far for life beyond our solar system. That's why they created Space Force. They don't say, God, dog. Pray for the tech team. Bill Gates says AI can help solve worker shortages in 2 surprising professions. So now they want doctors to be ran by AI. Bill Gates said it again. Hey, this is a good read. China's Elon Musk uses just 2 numbers to demonstrate why his country's auto industry is now out competing the U.S. and Europe. Hey, China, they not playing. Doing what they got to do to survive. Chinese factories are taking the trade war somewhere new. Hey, they on TikTok. Since Trump has turned up with tariffs, they going on TikTok and they getting you to buy from their factories direct. And this concludes the Watchmen Report.
You are now flying.
We the sons of God, we don't back down. I'll take it to your face, I tell you right now. Step up to the camp, we ain't backing down. Step up to the camp, I tell you right now. We the sons of God, we don't backing down. I'll take it to your face.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Welcome. Precept upon precept. You know how we do? Watchmen Report. pull up the thumbnail. The thumbnail for tonight's show, Officer Mikael put this together with a bit of AI technology. So let's take a look at this. What is going on here? What do we have here?
Oh, so we
Okay.
got Trump's Tuff Tariffs tank. So we have on the left side and the right side what looks like Democrats and Republicans. That's what it looks like.
So basically, and if you look, it's always a play on word. Trump's tough tariffs, because that's what they were in the beginning. They're tough tariffs meant to bring the nations in submissions. But what we're going to find out today in today's show is that they have tanked, right? Trump's tough tariffs tanked, meaning they took a dive, all right? We're going to read, and also Micah covered it a little bit during his Watchmen Report. You're going to find that China actually is more in control than meets the eye. So let's go ahead. Shout out to Officer Mikael to bring this AI. Yes.
So also in the thumbnail, bring it back up. It has reciprocal tariffs implemented, which is showing that the other countries have fired back at what Trump is doing, which is causing his tariffs to tank. It ain't having the effect that he wants. It also has Russia's flag up there, which is having a heavy effect on America because they want their tariffs to blockade Russia and try to take Russia down. And then it shows the stock market, which was very volatile. And I can tell you how volatile that market is. I have a little bit of retirement saving, and it hit me pretty hard. And so it's having a big effect. People need to pay attention. The way that this country, tariffs make money for the government. That's where the tariffs go. The money goes to the government, and that's what they're after, is trying to rebuild America great again, but they're doing it on the backs of the poor people.
And we're going to bring that's a hell of a statement Officer Yasa mentioned. We're going to bring it out tonight. It's going to be a content-filled night. All right, and we got us something special. We have a new segment tonight with Officer Yasa. I think y'all going to enjoy it very, very much before break. Let's go right to number one. It's an article, right? A little bit of reading. Officer, I don't know if one of y'all can read.
Yes, sir.
We should have number one up there. All right. Precept upon precept. We're about to get some new shirts, y'all. All right. All right. Al Jazeera.
Yes, sir. As U.S. and China escalate trade war, the world asks who will blink first.
Let me just point this out. When you look at all of, like Yasa mentioned, about the reciprocal tariffs, notice that he dropped the reciprocal tariffs on all except one country. Interesting. Who could that be? The one country that's wiping the floor with them when it comes to exporting and manufacturing. So it's very interesting. Just keep that in mind of this trade war. Read on.
U.S. President Donald Trump says ball is in China's court. But analysts say Beijing is prepared
Beijing
is prepared to withstand trade war. As United States President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping face off in an escalating trade war that has roiled global markets and businesses, big and small, the question of countless minds is who will blink first.
Right. You ever get in a staring contest and someone, Trump staring at him, trying to say who's going to blink first? And what we're going to find out is Trump put forth the war with the trade, and Trump already blinked already. He already blinked his eye. Okay, we're not going to read the whole thing. Read on.
Trump has pummeled China with a 145% tariff.
First it was in the 80s, and then he shacked it up to 145.
Beijing has retaliated with a duty of 125%.
So they trying to match it. Read on.
On Tuesday, Trump ramped up his trade salvies by ordering a national security review of imports of critical minerals, most of which come from China.
Okay, this is important. Later on, there is a list of 17 rare earth minerals / elements. And this we talked about a couple of the shows maybe 2-3 months ago. Why is that so important? Because it is for technology and military weaponry and aircraft. Extremely important. And which what you're going to find that Trump, he already gave in to the war he started. And we're going to prove that as we read on and go throughout the show. Come on.
Earlier, Bloomberg News reported that China had ordered its airlines not to take deliveries of Boeing jets and halt purchases of aircraft-related equipment and parts from U.S. companies.
Later on, you're going to find that there's two major aircraft. These are commercial, like if you fly on Spirit, Southwest, Delta, British Airways. There's Boeing, there's U.S., there's Airbus out of Europe, and China now is the third major player. So they're trying to create their own jets within China, all right? So we're going to find later on that China really doesn't need the U.S. for almost anything. Read on.
While Hong Kong's Postal Service announced it would no longer handle U.S.-bound mail. A 145% tariff will make it impossible for China to sell to the U.S. The cost on both economies will be exponentially high.
So this is where Trump, I'm going to 145% on everything. But then you find out as we go through the show, there's an exception for this, an exception for this, and those exceptions are the things that we need the most. So Trump don't got the power that he has in his bravado and his toughs. He doesn't have the power. Like we think the ignorant Americans, oh, Trump. No, he doesn't have the power that he's displaying. A little bit more, we're going to go on.
Vina Najibullah, Vice President of Research and Strategy at the Asia Pacific Foundation of Canada, told Al Jazeera, a complete decoupling is almost impossible to contemplate.
Right, and that's why Trump had to go back on his tariff tough talk. Read on.
Who will blink first depends on who can stand more pain and who is better prepared, she added.
And we're going to prove that the U.S. is not prepared. Read on.
While Trump has long accused China of ripping off the U.S. on trade, analysts have questioned whether his administration has a clear goal or what it wants to achieve with its tariffs.
Trump does not have a concrete governmental plan. Everything is flying off the seat of his pants.
Hey, Cap, that's
Yes, sir.
because Trump is a businessman.
Right.
He's not an economist.
Bring
He's
it
not a politician. He thinks, all right, we're going to tax them, which in business, when you tax somebody, you get the benefit of that tax. But the customer can't tax you. There's a difference here in this situation. China can tax you, and then you're trying to tax them on stuff that we actually need in this country to run.
Right. Last week you brought it out on the show. A tariff is a tax that what happens is if you put a tariff on Chinese import, the U.S., an export from China coming into the U.S., the American companies that pay the increase of that increased tariff, the U.S. government eventually receives it, but then guess what? The U.S. companies that pay the tariff increase pass that increase on to you and me who buy the product.
Yep.
And this is what people don't understand. I think and Trump is trying to use it as leverage. Okay, well, if you do this, you come down this. But he's not understanding that, well, we're going to prove in a little bit, China has the cards, not the U.S. Bring it out, please.
So this is a slick way of doing something that they say that they never want, is taxes, right? They got you looking the other way while they actually raising taxes on you by doing this tariff trick. That's what it's all about. Keep you looking over at China, and everybody else think we hurting China because, you know, this country has a history of hating on different nationalities and stuff. It is what it is. Right. But this is a tax on the American people, all of us.
And this is why, like, and many of us who have, this is why we cannot put our trust. Give me Proverbs 3:31. If we think that the American Edomite is going to give us proper religion, proper education, proper economics, you are 100% wrong. This is why you can't put your trust in riches and this money. Proverbs 3:31.
Yes, sir. The book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31.
Come on.
Envy thou not the oppressor,
Because we envy their economic system. We envy of the riches that some of us may be able to benefit from in this land. Read.
and choose none of his ways.
But at the end of the day, we need to put our trust and our treasures up in heaven. That's why we know tough times are going to come. This is why black people who lived during the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, they were forced to unite economically. Nowadays, with the white woman, drugs, jobs, and other things, we feel like we one of them. No, you're not. Because when it turns up, we have to come together. That's why we need to buy land. Hence, the land drive this weekend, okay? We need to have community gardens, not just in New Orleans and Seattle, everywhere around us. We need to be growing crops, fruit trees, vegetables, planting, dehydrating, harvesting, canning, all these things. That must be the baseline. Then we also need to preserve dried foods, all these things, and create, like we got in New Orleans, we have a car chat. Instead of bringing our cars to the mechanic, we have brothers that work together so we can save hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year and give an Esau our money. We have to use wisdom, all right? So don't trust this economic system, because at any time, like $2 trillion was missing from the start, Mike, when he put these tariffs off. When he did the 90-day pause, all of a sudden, they found the damn money. You see how that happened?
I didn't find the money out of my account, though. I'm still looking for it.
Hey, you see that? I would make a fat joke. I ain't going to do it. Damn! We got a fat tech guy back there. All right, so let's, in the interest of time, just to show you, read the article when you get a chance on your own. We're going to go on to the next one because we're going to run out of time. All right? I got timestamps and everything coming up. All right? So, be very mindful when someone says to you that the U.S. is winning the trade war. They don't know what they're talking about. The next should be, let me see what it is. Okay, yes, this goes into, rare earth. Pull up, this should be, you can do AI or you can do Wikipedia. I want the 17, if you can get through the periodic table that shows the actual name and where it falls as we read this article. Okay?
China trade war poses China trade war poses threat to U.S. arms firms' rare earth supply, analysts warn. Chinese restrictions could affect more than a dozen defense and aerospace firms and give Beijing critical advantage.
Do me a favor. I know I'll just throw this at you. I want you to look up Beijing's population, because what we don't understand is that when you think of the U.S., you think of New York, L.A., Chicago. New York has over 9 million people. Chinese cities are so amazingly advanced and populated, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think a lot of people in America are ignorant. Look at the population of Beijing, China. Holy, look at the. Now I want you to pull up New York City, the biggest city in the U.S. New York, the Big Apple, 5 boroughs, New York. New York has got nothing on Beijing when it comes to the magnitude of this city. Beijing had 21 some odd million people. New York. Or New York City is cool. All right? I just want to. Okay, so New York has a lot of people. 8.5 million. Beijing, China, 21.3 or 4 million people.
3 times as much as New York.
Almost 3 times as much. Do me a favor. Look up Hong Kong. Look up Hong Kong, China. There are so many cities in China that have more people than New York City. Damn. And their airports, their infrastructure, their highways are pristine.
You know what that makes
Bring it
United States cities? Minorities. They're minorities.
We are minorities in technology. We have a very low rating on highway systems. Very low, like Trump even brought out. He said, when I fly into cities like Dubai and other countries, I'm blown away. Then I fly into LaGuardia, I'm like, it's a toilet. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Hong Kong, almost as many people as New York. Type in Wuhan. Wuhan. I know I'm throwing this a curveball at you. Wuhan. That's fine. 2022. Damn. So Wuhan, right? Not people didn't know about that. That has
8.9.
So a little bit more than New York City. So far, and there are many, many more cities in China that are larger than our largest metropolitan city. Now, go back to just to show you the level of what we're competing with. All right, read.
Yeah, scroll up. America's advanced weapon manufacturers are likely to face a critical shortfall of key rare earth minerals that they import from China as consequence of Donald Trump's escalating trade war with Beijing.
Okay. All right. That's it? That's the whole article?
Now they about to.
I'll tell you what. In the interest of time, okay. All right. There we go.
New export licensing restrictions imposed by China on 7 rare earths are like to cause disruptions in supply to more than a dozen U.S. defense and aerospace companies involved in the production of everything from fighter jets to submarines and drones.
So that's why the U.S. has made some exceptions to the tariff wars, because the rare earth minerals are necessary for the Navy, Army, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and other major tech companies like even Space Force or SpaceX. Read on.
The Center for Strategic and International Studies said in a commentary, the warning from CSIS was echoed in an expert opinion from the UK think tank Chatham House,
Yep.
which said any further tightening of Chinese restrictions has the potential to do serious damage to the U.S. defense industry and undermine the Trump administration's wider industrialization ambitions.
So watch this, and we're going to stop here. Also, remember, it's been brought out on Patient Saints. It's been brought out with Bishop Nathaniel's brought out multiple times on his evening class. There are over 845 military bases that are publicly talked about.
Yep.
So if the rare earth minerals that come from China can directly affect the U.S. military, this is what you got to understand. This is why the exceptions we're going to read about, Trump had to blink. He blinked first, okay? We got a little glare in here. It is what it is. Cool. All right, now, let's go to the next one because we're already about half an hour through. Okay, this is a quick video this is from like 13, 14 years ago, and he's going to talk about the 17 rare earth minerals, and then I would like the definition that I asked y'all to get if you can, okay? Quick, this is a 1.5-minute video for those of you who do not know. He's going to tell you about the 17 rare earth elements. Play.
It's an exciting time to be working on the chemistry of rare earth elements. The rare earths are 17 elements: yttrium, scandium, and the lanthanides, and they're used in a lot of very important renewable energy applications. For example, hybrid electric vehicle batteries and large-scale wind turbine generators used for generating electricity all use rare earth materials. China currently holds 97% of the world's supply.
Stop. Real quick. So I did this in context. This was about 13 to 14 years ago. China was 97%?
97.
Right now, China still has 90% or more, and we're going to verify that later on. Let's look. Y'all look at the screen. You're not being educated in this country. Look at these different. This is on. Every one of us probably took a chemistry class or a biology class. There's a thing called the periodic table. These are things that China has mastered the art of extracting these from the ground, and it's not an easy process. We're going to find out a little bit more.
Hey, Cap, that's because with 21 million people, they told their children education is important.
Yeah.
I'm going to restrict you from doing what you want,
Facts.
and I want you to do what I want you to do because I want our family and nation to be successful. The United States says you can twerk and you can be on Instagram all day and TikTok, and you know, you can just follow the rappers and whatever they do. And now what do we have?
So, Cap Matt, they actually worked at undereducating a big part of their population, the so-called African Americans and the so-called Hispanic people.
Exactly.
So now they want to swing it around, but it's too late because you gave everything away. And so this is what how they say your rooster come back to.
Yep.
How they say that?
The
Chicken come back
chickens come home to roost.
Right. And also to your point, Officer Yasa, is when you have with the world's greatest economy up until 2016, and we have one of the poorest performing school districts, but yet we spend more per student, more per capita on each student than any other country. We have some of the lowest performing test scores, and this is how China has overcome. They have scored great on math and sciences. That's what you need to engineer, to produce, to create technology. Whereas in the U.S., you can't. The teacher turnover. I was a teacher for a while. The teacher turnover ratio in this country in the inner city is ridiculous. Okay,
the teachers don't even look the same.
It's completely different, and they'll push. I've seen it. They'll push students through that with high school, 12th grade, and they don't even have an 8th grade reading level. It's absurd. But in China, to your point, Captain Matt, in China they take education, family values. Everything is done so seriously, and as a result of that, they have surpassed the United States. And we're going to show you that later on even more. Let's play on.
Elements. In the last 18 months, they have been reducing their export quotas significantly. This has had a chilling effect on the global rare earths market. The rare earths exist everywhere, including domestically. One of the problems is that rare earths occur as composite mineral sources, either in terrestrial sources or in seafloor mud.
Pause. So what he's saying is the 17 rare earth minerals are everywhere. They're terrestrial, which terrestrial means in the dirt, and at the seafloor. But what China's doing, instead of, like Captain Matt said, to focus on twerking and doing other immoral, indecent, horrible things, China has their next generations, by the way, they have 1.4 billion people with crazy amounts of inner cities and different places, and they're creating refining the techniques to gather these rare earths. We have it here in the U.S. They have it in Australia. They're not applying. So this, guess what? China is mastering all of these techniques, and this is what the guy's saying. Play on.
Separated one from another in order to be used in their technological applications. We're studying rare earth separations and new rare earth complexes in the context of separations. One of the ways that we're doing that is using this electrochemical instrumentation integrated with this dry box. We make new rare earth complexes in this dry box and study their electrochemical properties in the context of rare earth separations chemistry. With results from these studies, we hope to develop a new rare earth separations chemistry for deployment in a domestic supply chain to continue to contribute to renewable energy technology. I'm Eric Shelter, an assistant professor. This is my student, Jerome Robinson, and we're in the chemistry department at the University of Pennsylvania.
So this is what China's doing at a mass scale, and their population is growing. That's why if you look at these cities, if you look at the technologies, the airports, the highway infrastructure, their big machinery, it is absolutely impressive. And guess what? The U.S., that's what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to make America great again because it's not great internationally compared. Now, that being said, pull up you have these? Can they see that screen? Okay. So when you look, let's start with, is it cerium? I can't pronounce it.
Cerium?
Cerium. Cerium is what number is it?
56.
56 on the periodic table?
Was that 58?
58. Okay, 58. Okay. All right. And it says it's the most abundant rare earth element. You can see, go down to the next one. just to get an idea, when you hear people say the 7, you go to the periodic table, look it up, it gives you a number, and it tells you a little bit about it. This is what China has mastered. This is what they're using for many of the chips. This is what they're using to make weaponry, to make parts for technology that goes in ships, drones, computer boards, and all these other advancements in technology. And this is what the U.S. fears.
Hey, Cap.
Yes, sir.
That one that they're on. Put it back up. Put it back up. Notice on the third column, it says, no. On Europium, the one that you have open right now.
Go down.
Right there.
Yep.
It says yttrium, terbium, europium, important in making televisions and computer screens and other devices that have visual displays. They have control of this.
That's right.
That's your iPhone. Remember last week we talked about when the tariffs come, the first two things that are going to take a hit is your electronics and your automotives.
Right.
Those two things, because now you got Tesla.
Yep.
They have displays. You have regular, my car is a 2011 and it has a television display. So all of these different things, they need those rare earth metals. A lot of these cars have chips in the keys. You can't start the car without that specific type of chip. You can't get an iPhone. You can't get an Android. Even though we like to go back and forth about which one is better, you won't have either one of them if these tariffs continue.
Cap.
Bring it out, Michael.
To that point, if you notice, a lot of the people being educated here in America, they struggle. In most cases, they have a lot of student debt. You don't hear about that problem in China because what they actually do is they focus on educating. Like an iPhone in China, probably like what, $30, opposed to you buy an iPhone in America, you spending $1,500.
Yep.
Because the people, they're not going to school to learn. Like the last time I saw a periodic table of content was in high school.
Exactly.
They probably see that more frequently in China, and they can readily identify these things.
So we're going to go to number 4. It says countries with the most rare earth minerals. I want you to pull up, please, because we're getting ready to transition to break in about 15 minutes. I want you to pull up the BRICS nations and the BRICS partner nations, and I want you to remember, look at these lists, and then look at the top 8 countries with the most rare earth reserves. Everything that's happening with the Most High is allowing the BRICS and their partner. He is organizing all of that. And we're going to show you. It's not an accident what they're doing. You got the BRICS nations. I did put it up earlier.
Rare earths reserved top 8 countries. Okay.
So if you look in the red, everybody, this is for people at home. Maybe you have not watched this yet. We've covered this probably 20 times. The red countries are active members. Remember, Brazil, look at Russia, China, India, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, South Africa. I might be missing a couple of other ones. Then look at the BRICS partners. These are key. Belarus, Kazakhstan, I forget the one, it's maybe Uruguay, next to Brazil.
Yeah, Uruguay.
So these reds and yellows are all partner nations or a nation that is part of BRICS. Now, we're going to scroll out of here. Let's look at the nations or the countries that have the most rare earth, and let's see if we see a correlation. Okay?
Rare earths reserves top 8 countries.
They can see it at home, right? Okay, thank you.
China is the top producer of rare earths and also holds the largest rare earths reserves. Which other countries made the list?
So China, off the bat, is in BRICS. It's the C in BRICS, and it has the most. We just read about that in the article, and we've covered that before. And even 13 years ago, they owned 97% of the market. Now, it's actually a little less than 97% now. Scroll down. We don't need to see me, man. Please. All right. I think you got to keep reading.
Blow up a little bit.
Okay. So China is number one. We're not going to read the whole thing. We're just going to look down the list. What's number 2? Oh, Brazil. So wait a minute. So B for Brazil, C for China. So far, they're number 1 and 2. Interesting. Oh, wait, number 3 is India. That's the I. So far, the top 3, and by the way, Brazil is the largest country in all of South America. Scroll down. Australia, that is a European/American ally. Scroll down. Russia.
Oh.
Okay. Scroll down. Vietnam is now partnering with China. The president of China just went to Vietnam and made a 41-part deal with them. U.S., okay, they got some. Scroll down. Greenland, that's why Trump wants Greenland. Yep. It's not because it's a nice big island. It's because they have resources. Scroll down. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So out of those, most of them were BRICS nations. Bring it out. I don't want to.
So this is what has been driving them all the time, is they're being blocked out. The same thing that they've done to other countries, other nations for years, they're being boxed in. And so that's why Trump is reacting so violently. A lot of people can't understand why he come out the box so hard as soon as he got his presidency, trying to take different lands and take different routes, so that militarily wise, you can't have drones. Drones is the game now.
Right.
This it's changed over the last 3 years because Russia and Ukraine, they've set a new stage for how wars are fought because of the drones.
Hey, to your point, remember we've showed time and time again of drones cornering troops in and killing troops. You have to, and in a large part of that, the drones and the chips that go within it, and even parts of the actual vehicle come from rare earth minerals. So if China's the number 1, and the other countries that are already partners are in that, they are going to have a global cornering on that market. The U.S., and this is why I'm going to show you in a second, they built the Iron Dome over Israel. Trump knows that the ship is slowly sinking. That's why he's building the Golden Dome. Okay, he's building a gold. I'm going to build the dome around America. It's going to be better than the iron. It's going to be gold, not iron. Iron rust. Gold doesn't rust. We're the best. And we're going to show you that in a minute. All right? Go to we're going to go to geopolitical number 5, and then after we get through this, we should be get ready to go to Officer Yas's new segment. Timestamp. This guy is pretty sharp. Geopolitical. He is going to go into the failing tariff policies of the U.S. I got 3 timestamps, not too long. And brothers, please feel free to comment. He's a little dry, but he's very thorough.
U.S. President Donald Trump imposed high tariffs on countries all around the world, essentially declaring a global trade war on the 2nd of April, which he dubbed Liberation Day. Then just a few days later, Trump paused the tariffs that he imposed on most countries around the world, imposing a blanket tariff of 10% on all countries. But then he focused specifically on China, hitting China with tariffs of 145%. This would have been catastrophic for the U.S. economy, given that the United States imports more goods from China than from any other country. And almost immediately after Trump declared what was essentially
so pause real quick. So remember we said before, the categories which he accepted are, like Captain Matt said, smartphones, computers. What are the other electronics? That has to do with electronic vehicles and military weaponry. Yep. So the things that we need the most, 125, accept that. So basically, you start a war and you already he blinked. He blinked. What's the word when you? The past tense of when you blink is he blinked. Yeah. Trump blinked already. All right. Play on.
Your trade war against China, he backtracked. He took a major step back, and essentially he acknowledged defeat in the trade war that he initiated. How so? Trump announced exemptions for Chinese exports of smartphones, computers, and other electronics to the U.S. This came after U.S. big tech corporations like Apple told the U.S. government they needed exceptions because without China, which plays a key role in global supply chains, they simply cannot produce the electronics goods that the 21st century U.S. economy relies on. So in the case of Apple, 80% of iPhones sold in the United States are made in China.
Pause. Please talk about that. Talk about that. You just talked about that.
Because the thing is, China's country is ran off of brains.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. is run off of pride and brawn. That's it. Brawn doesn't make things. Brawn destroys things.
That's it.
So you gotta retreat somewhere because you use the same exact things that you bargained for.
So I'll give you an example. Off the outside, even when I was a kid, I remember hearing this. Detroit, Michigan was known as the Motor City.
Yes, sir.
There was a huge black lower middle, and upper middle class. And that's because we had major manufacturing of not just the big three American artists, but there was huge business. And after the Detroit's manufacturing left, it left Gary, Indiana, it left many of the many of the U.S. cities, you saw the going away of the middle class to the point where you've got neighborhoods. Like we were in many places, Gary, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, where major companies and industries were. They left, and when they left, the jobs left, and the cities just fell apart. And this is what you're seeing. Trump's trying to bring all that back, but the reality is this. How are you going to compete to make profits if you're paying people in China, let's just say $8 an hour, cost comparatively, right? But then in the U.S., you'd have to pay them $25 to $30 an hour because it's highly skilled labor. You can't compete. Profit-wise, that's why they outsource their labor to China, Vietnam, because it's cheap labor.
And they didn't, during the time that all this happened, we're going back to the time of when Ronald Reagan was around and stuff like that, they didn't want to educate the so-called minority population here, so that they could have had a labor base, but they didn't want to let us out of the box we were in. I'm just saying it real. That's what they were doing. And they were sending jobs first to Mexico.
NAFTA.
But then they decided we ain't helping them either. So then they pushed the jobs out to Canada, which Canada announced, hey, guess who sends a lot of your car parts? Mess with us if you want. And then to China and all of the Asian markets to get stuff cheap. But to keep us, they said that we were going to be a service-based economy. Well, it ain't working out too good for you now.
And what you said is heavy because later on, that's what they call. We have a surplus when it comes to services. When it comes to goods, we have a huge deficit to the point where Trump's got the right idea. I want to make tariffs. I want to get money so we can bring all the jobs back. He's got all these good ideas. But the reality is you're going to have a labor class, and you're not going to be able to pay them $25 an hour like they should get to compete internationally. This country is the richest country for a reason because guess what? They use the military to start wars and go rob, pillage, and create resources, and now they're realizing that this country is going down, and there's nothing they can do about it because God is behind it, doing all these BRICS moves, behind China, behind this, behind that. He's doing all this behind the scenes. Bring it up, please.
And one more thing that contributed to this country being great was the free labor that they got. So once that ran out, once they ran out of that, then they tried to keep you down at low labor. And as people became educated, they wanted to get paid better. That put them in the hole. And that's why they want to go backwards.
Hey, can I get a script?
Absolutely. Bring it up.
Get Daniel 2:41. The reason why Trump's plan is not going to work is because from the beginning, it wasn't meant to work. This is that kingdom. That's for you brothers out there that don't think that Esau is a so-called white man. You bugging. You don't think that America is Babylon the Great, the final kingdom on this earth. You're bugging because this is already written. Read that.
The book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided.
There is no other nation that is more divided than we are. You understand? Because you got, like Officer Yasser said, you got the black people. You don't want to educate them because they might rise up. Why would they rise up? Because they divided. It's, when you think of racism, you think black versus white. When you think of upper class and lower class, you think black and white. Read on.
But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron.
Because they have a military might. Go ahead.
For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong.
We're strong militarily.
And partly broken.
But we're broken in every other aspect. Because they dedicate more, they invest more into prison systems than they do into education.
And that's why you have a China, and we're about to play a TikTok video in a minute. That's why you have a China that in 35 years ago, they were not even a world power. And now you have, they invested in their country, they invested in their citizens, and now their cities are flourishing. They're the number one exporter, they're the number one manufacturer, even though they only have, say, 20 military bases compared to the U.S.'s 845. They are smarter, they're more creative, and that's because God's making it happen. Because, like Cap brought out, the prophecies in Daniel could not be true unless we're living what we see right now.
We used to laugh at China. We used to say made in China. It was a joke.
Hey, to Officer Yasser's point, like earlier today, I was working on a differential, and the bearing, I pulled the front of the it's, you can see it right in there, made, the bearing, that material is made in China. The internal components, made in China. Just something as small as that. But
if we were to go right now at home, if you were to go in your living room and wherever you're at in your apartment and just start looking at tags, labels, and placards, I would be willing to bet that at least 60 to 70% of everything in everybody's house on somewhere, because you might have something that's made in America, but there are certain parts or components in that semblance that is made in China.
Rare earth metals.
Rare earth metals.
When they get on my nerve at work and they be talking how great America is, I say, you better check your children. They may be stamped made in China.
Damn.
Look, it is. He said earlier, 80% of the iPhones, so half of all phones in this country, I believe he said it,
80%.
Half of all phones are iPhones, which is, the other half is Android and things. Out of those, half of all the iPhones, 80% of them are made in China. That goes to show you how many tens of millions of phones that if they go through with that, your iPhone is going to double, almost price and a half increase on your phone, 145% if it goes through. Now, we're running out of time. Go to the next timestamp because we're running out of time. 22:44. Pay attention to what this guy is going to bring out next.
Chip manufacturing. So what all of this shows is that the more that the U.S. wages economic war against other countries, the more it backfires on the U.S. economy and hurts average working class Americans.
Pause. That's exactly what Officer Yasser brought out earlier. It makes the government rich because they receive the tax, aka tariff. The importers that are paying the export to come in, they're going to pay more. They're not going to lower the price. They have to raise the price to offset their increase in price for bringing it in. So who gets the brunt of it? You and I and the people that are going to buy that good from China. Trump's plan is, well, we do that. We're going to force you to buy American goods. The problem with American goods, Mike has said it earlier, a lot of the stuff that we get, we're dependent on parts of that made in China. You can't win. That's why Trump says, okay, we're going to make some exceptions. This is what this guy's bringing out. Okay, play on.
Bloomberg published another report noting that because of Trump's threats against countries around the world, not only against China, but other countries, tourism in the U.S. is plummeting, and the U.S. economy is going to be
No, brother. 22
losing billions of dollars of revenue that it
22,
previously
44
got
to
from
25.
tourists
Come on.
from not only China, but from Europe, from Canada, from Mexico, from all of these areas of the world that are being threatened by Trump. And ironically, this could probably worsen the U.S. current account deficit, worsen the U.S. trade deficit with the rest of the world, because when tourists go to the U.S., that's considered a U.S. export. It actually helps the U.S. trade balance. And now Trump is making that situation even worse. And Trump expects that Chinese companies are just going to sit on their hands and take the U.S. tariffs and not going to retaliate in any way. But we've seen many creative forms of retaliation, not only by the Chinese government, but by Chinese business people. And one of the most hilarious and incredible examples of these is that on social media, there have been many videos going viral showing Chinese suppliers in the supply chain for Western luxury goods from companies like Louis Vuitton.
Pause.
And
So when you look at Louis Vuitton and all these other great so-called white labels, many of the materials they're getting are from China, and they upcharge, and the black, dumb, rap listening to Negro in America thinks he's somebody because he got a Louis Vuitton bag, when a lot of it's made in China, and they're paying like 10,000 increase of price when the product is made, a lot of it's made in China. And they're going on TikTok saying, you Americans are stupid. You stupid. I make it so much cheaper. You get paid. And that's what they're doing. Okay, I was very stereotypical, but that's
It was on
kinda
point.
like
That was on point.
But it makes sense because I've noticed that, like on social media, you get a lot of Jordans, and it's like I've noticed a lot of Jordan ads and these little off-brand companies that you never heard of. It's like, yeah, we got Jordans over here, we got Jordans over there, and it's like, why? That makes sense. They make Jordans over there, so you know they can knock the price down. While black people spending $200-$300 on the shoes, they sell them for $40, and they still making a come up because it takes $17 to make the shoe.
it's the same materials.
You
Bring
took
it out,
right,
Mike.
You took it right, Cap. They teach us, they brainwash us. They tell us, oh, you buy from China, you buying knockoff. Well, you go in the mall, they just put it in a different box, and it's still made in China.
Exactly.
Put a tag on
That's
it. Same exact knockoff.
So let's play on. We got what? How many? 10 minutes to break? How much? 15. Okay. Yeah, he's got a segment. 5 minutes. Play on.
been showing is that many of these largely European luxury goods actually have significant parts of their supply chains in China, and that Chinese suppliers can produce these luxury goods like these Birkin bags for a tiny fraction of the price that they're sold at by these European luxury goods companies. And the quality is the same. The product is basically identical. The only difference is maybe it doesn't have the tag that says Birkin or Louis Vuitton. It doesn't have the logo, but it's exactly the same. And they're telling Western consumers, US consumers, they're saying, buy these products directly from us at a huge discount. So once again, the message is that the more that Trump threatens China, the more it backfires on the US economy and actually ends up strengthening.
Okay. So next time stamp, and then we're going to close up on this and head to the next segment. 2714.
Not just me saying this. It's now even the mainstream financial press that is warning exactly the same. The Financial Times columnist Gideon Rachman, who's very anti-China. You cannot accuse this guy of being pro-China. He's a very centrist British journalist who his views represent the kind of elite neoliberal establishment in Europe. And even he admitted in an op-ed in the Financial Times that China holds a stronger hand than the United States. As he wrote, quote, "It looks like Trump has a much weaker hand than he thought in the game of tariff poker that he is playing with China. The longer it takes for Trump to accept this definitively, the more he and the U.S. stand to lose," end quote. He continued, quote, "The fact that China exports far more to the U.S. and the other way around is actually a source of leverage for them, for China, not a weakness. The U.S. is not buying products from China out of charity. Americans want what China makes. So if those products become much more expensive or disappear from the shelves altogether, Americans will suffer," end quote. And then he goes through some of these shocking statistics that show just how dependent the U.S.
He's about to say some things that a lot of us may not know. It is shocking, the fact that what China has, what they're actually doing. Play.
U.S. is on China. More than half of the smartphones sold in the U.S. are iPhones, and 80% of those iPhones are made in China. 80% of the world's air conditioners are made in China. 3/4 of the electric fans that the U.S. imports are made in China. 75% of the dolls and bicycles that the U.S. imports are made in China. He went on, noting that China makes almost 50% of the ingredients that go into the antibiotics that Americans depend on.
Damn.
So the U.S. pharmaceutical industry, maybe they make their drugs, but they rely on inputs from China. The U.S. military's F-35, the backbone of the U.S. Air Force, requires rare earth components sourced from China. China dominates the global supply chain for rare earths. And also by...
Okay, so that's a short list, just to show you the level of dependency the U.S. has on China for importing their goods. So now we're getting ready to go to break. When we come back, we have another half of the show. We're going to roll out today the first segment for Officer Yas. Have a new segment where he's going to review all type of historical books and books to put in your reading arsenal. So without further ado, we're going next to Officer Yasa.
I got the power. Come on. And the whole world in my hand. You want this? Power. My hand is warm. I got the power. Come on. And the whole world in my hand. You want this? Power. My hand is warm.
All praises, all praises. So this is the new episode. So what I want to bring out is we're trying to teach our people about history. And generally when we speak to our people about history, we'll say, do you know history? They say, yes. We were kings and queens in Africa. And I guarantee you none of our people know any kings and queens that were in Africa, right? So what we're trying to establish is the knowledge that we need, like current knowledge. We don't know it. I did have a scripture I want to bring out. That's Isaiah 1 and 3. Let me get it real quick. And I'm fond of this scripture because it packs a lot. It says, let me get it, 1 and 3. Isaiah 1 and 3.
Yes, sir. The book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider.
And we're going to look at that part about not consider, because we are unconscious about what goes on in the world around us. We don't consider who we are, where we come from, what's being done to us on a daily basis. And so the first book I want to bring out is this book called Medical Apartheid. And this book is a documented, fact-filled book, which has a lot of stuff that will disturb your mind if you read it, because it has a lot of truth in it. It is truth. And it's going to help us appreciate what's happened to us historically, medically wise. So let's get that picture. Medical Apartheid. There's the author of the book. Her name is Harriet A. Washington. She's a Nobel Prize winner. She's a renowned author. That's her right there. She really went into a lot of research to get us to see what's been going on, right? So I put up a short excerpt of about who she is. Can we get that? All right. It says National Book Critics. You want to read it, officer?
I got you.
Captain?
National Book Critics Circle Award winner. The first history of Black America's shocking mistreatment as unwilling and unwitting experimental subjects at the hands of the medical establishment. No one concerned with issues of public health and racial prejudice can afford not to read this masterful book. Washington has unearthed a shocking amount of information and shaped it into a riveting, carefully documented book, New York Times.
Hold it right there. So this is a documented, I want to go over that, time and time again, that this is not something, these are not stories. This is documented where she went before Congress. People went before Congress because some of the things that happened to us. When we say medical apartheid, the first thing our people say is Tuskegee experiment. Tuskegee experiment did happen, and it is important, but it's one of the very little things or least things that did happen to us. Bring that back up.
From the era of slavery to the present day, starting with the earliest encounters between Black Americans and Western medical researchers and racist pseudoscience that resulted medical apartheid, details the ways both slaves and freedmen were used in hospitals for experiments conducted without their knowledge, a tradition that continues today within some Black populations.
Okay, so it brings out that this has gone on since slavery, but I got to tell you something. It went on way before slavery. When we were in Spain and Portugal, we were underneath the churches being persecuted as Jews, and they were experimenting on us back then. But here in America, it is documented that they used slaves to experiment on all the way up until modern time. I can remember back when my mother and them were bearing children, and they had a lot of kids. It was 8 of us, and they were trying to stop having kids, and they were giving us giving those women birth control. Well, in this book, it documents that the birth control that they were giving those women, they knew that it had harmful effects, and it ended up with a lot of children, what we say today is retardation and mental illness. That was the cause of this medical apartheid. Bring it back up.
It reveals how blacks have historically been prey to grave robbing as well as unauthorized autopsies and dissections. Moving into the 20th century, it shows how the pseudoscience of eugenics and social Darwinism was used to justify experimental exploitation and shoddy medical treatments of blacks. Shocking new details about the government's notorious Tuskegee experiment are revealed, as are similar, less well-known medical atrocities conducted by the government, armed forces, prisons, and private institutions.
Okay, so I want to just take a little excerpt out of the book to show you what they're talking about, because it mentioned that a lot of this stuff was done to us unbeknown to us, or we were persuaded to do it, like the Tuskegee experiment, where they told a man that they was giving him something, but then they didn't give him any treatment for it. So this is chapter 11. It's called The Children Crusade. I think I did not underline it, but it's about the second paragraph.
Shortly afterward?
Shortly afterward.
Shortly afterward, in 1992, representatives from Columbia University appeared at Johnson's door, explaining that they wanted her other son, 6-year-old Isaac, to go to his hospital for a series of simple interviews and tests, culminating in a one-time overnight stay involving a single dose of harmless medication. The worker explained that Columbia University was offering a safe, free test for Isaac in order to discover whether he might have any medical problems.
Whoa, wait a minute. He didn't have any problem, but they want to go in and check him out. Why would they come to somebody who has no issues to come check him out? This has happened time and time again. Go ahead.
They would pay her approximately $100.
$100.
And they had something for Isaac as well. A gift certificate for Toys R Us if he agreed to participate.
A gift spoileth the heart. This is what's going on here. Go ahead a little bit more. This is going to tell you the reason she gave into this. Watch this.
Johnson hesitated briefly, but eventually she signed. She explained why during a congressional hearing. At first, I did not understand how and from what source they obtained my name and knew I had a 6-year-old son. I later came to the conclusion that this information came to them because of my 16-year-old son's involvement with the juvenile justice system.
So they used this leverage. She didn't want her 16-year-old to suffer because they had him wrapped up in the system. Sounds familiar? Happens all the time these days. Go ahead.
Needless to say, I decided to cooperate with the experimenters. I felt at the time that if they would find me and knew I had a 6-year-old son, they had enough power to affect the well-being of my 16-year-old son who was being held in a detention facility.
This is how we are manipulated, ill-treated. So eventually they got her son in there, and they ran experiments on it. We're going to go into other excerpts in the books to show you that they give us shots of cancer. They give us shots of mercury to see the effects on it over and over and over again. This is our history. This is our unknown history that we don't know. And this is why we have to not be, as the scripture in Isaiah 1:3 says, it says that our people don't consider. We need to consider what's going on. You know, when you go to the doctor, just don't give them a blank ticket. Don't just go to the doctor to think that they have your well-being at hand. You know, we need to be inquisitive about what's going on, and we need to state what can and cannot be done to us. So this is the first episode of the show, and I appreciate y'all listening in. Shalom.
I got the power. Come on. And the whole world in my hand. You want this? Power. My hand is one. I got the power. Come on.
Hey, shalom, Israel. We back. Guess what's going down next week? The Land Blitz is happening next week. Y'all remember when we made the first announcement months ago, right? Y'all didn't know what a Land Blitz was. Now you know. Now you excited. Now you're ready to go. Next week, 6 a.m. it starts. Bishop Kanai, brand new album, never been seen, dropping next week. Bishop Nathaniel Perm music video, dropping next week. New Watch and Read. The Quest movies dropping. Israel Live is going down all day. Anybody that's anybody will be in the building. Most importantly, you will be in the building as well. We appreciate everybody that have made your donations. You signed your pledges. You sent in your check. We appreciate you. You waiting. You want to see your name pop up on the screen? All praise to the Most High. I'm waiting for that $1 million check to come through. LeBron, holla. It's going down next week, Sunday, 6 a.m. Be there or be square. Shalom. Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's the dream team. Let's go. Hey, 12. Hey, 12 up. Sit it down. 12 up.
Hey, shalom, Most High in Christ. Bless. Y'all already know what time it is. It's Kingdom Music. All right, and I got something for the over 35, 40 crew. We're going to go with a very, very pivotal video that a lot of brothers need to watch. A lot of brothers falling into fornication, adultery, and all kind of wickedness. This is what you need to see. That soft, subtle voice got a demon behind it. Let's go with Decisions.
Hey, it's me. I know we haven't spoken in a while and things have been weird. a lot. You are now think about me.
Got a wife and kids at home, but you still feel all alone. What's wrong with me? Insanity. I'm caught up with wicked thoughts in me, taking over my soul. My sins are getting bold, and I love the way sin feels to me. That old man is catching up to me. My flesh lead me wrong. I'm trying to do right. I'm trapped by her thoughts, bewitched by her eyes. I keep doing wrong when I know to do right. Playing with my life, I'm rolling the dice.
Chapter 4:26. Yay. Many there be that have run out of their wits for women.
That's a simp. Go ahead.
And become servants for their sakes.
You a servant. Go ahead, put it on the screen. You are a servant to women.
I'm rolling the dice. As the shit come right along. Gotta choose right or wrong. I'm trying to do it right. Oh, Father, give me strength and lead me to the light. This demon that I had was strong. It was a trap all along. I'm trying to do it right. Oh, Father, give me strength and lead me to the light. I'm waking up and I realize that I got much to lose. Time to choose life or death. Time to choose pleasure or regret. Oh, I take the time to make my choice, and I choose life and not you. I choose life. Time to choose. I'm choosing my wife. Leave me wrong. I'm trying to do right. I'm trapped by her thoughts, bewitched by her eyes. I keep doing wrong when I know to do right. Playing with my life, I'm rolling the dice. As the shit come right along. Gotta choose right or wrong. I'm trying to do it right. Oh, Father, give me strength and lead me to the light. This demon that I had was strong. It was a trap all along. I'm trying to do it right. Oh, Father, give me strength and lead me to the light.
Hello?
Hey, it's me.
Hey, appreciate y'all telling me I was back on. But hey, that's what that video right there is powerful, man. That video right there is powerful. That hey, it's me, hey, big head, all that stuff. Y'all better leave that alone. You better visualize that demon that's in that person, whether male or female. All right? Don't get caught up. We are too close to the end. All right, y'all? That has been another edition of Kingdom Music. Make sure that y'all go get The Pen. Shout out to Bishop Kanai. All right, The Pen. You got to go and get that Journey to Freedom. Go get the album. Go get the new album. The new album that's coming out is crazy. All right, Original Royalty, we doing big things. Shalom.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the king. Let's go. 12 up.
Hey, shalom, Israel. Welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of Preceptuponprecept. I didn't see it on the screen. So first and foremost, those of you just joining us, please, it's a late night show. Share the link in the morning. Share, comment, like, subscribe. And we want to plug and thank the Booster Club yet again. Why? Y'all, brothers and sisters, you faithful men and women that gave to the Booster Club time and time again. You made it possible for us to go to many different countries, and we're going to continue to do many, many more missions throughout all the continents, and we're going to make it to all the places where our people are. So we thank you. Myself personally, Captain Matthew, Officer Micah, we had the privilege and the opportunity to travel because of y'all. And when we went to these, we put work in. We put work in. We're building with the brothers and sisters there. We're increasing the faith of the congregation. We're out there on the streets, endangering our lives. Okay, it's not a vacation. We're working, and we're going to help the congregations to grow because of you, the spirit that the Lord puts on you. So please, please continue to donate. We appreciate the spirit the Most High put in you. Let's put the thumbnail up real quick. We're going to have a shorter half of the show. Shout out to Officer Yasser, did a great job with his first session of his book review. Trump's Tuff Tariffs tank. And we're going to show you that, all right? And you see there's a China flag, the stock market ticks. You see all this cabinet. It looks like a young Elon Musk. You see many of the neocons. Looks like Rubio and some of the other Pete Hegseth, whatever his name is, the war secretary. Go to Lena Petrova. Timestamp and everything.
In the shadows of the global currency and trade wars, a much quieter revolution is taking place, one that could reshape the world's food supply and redefine the global economic order. While the latest headlines focus on BRICS Plus efforts to ditch the US dollar and to an extent secure energy independence, a new front has already opened in global trade, and it is of no less importance to countries of the global south. I'm referring, of course, to agriculture.
Pause. So most of us have not heard of this. You hear about the de-dollarization, about BRICS forming its own currency. There is a pact that has been made. She's going to talk about. It is an agricultural pact made with the BRICS nations and partner nations that's never been talked about in mainstream news. This is going to affect everything. Watch. We're going to spend some time on this. Play on.
Agriculture is the basis, the top priority for any nation because it has to do with their food security. In 2024, the BRICS Plus bloc launched the BRICS Plus Grain Exchange. It was a powerful move that few in the West saw coming.
Pause. Last year, 2024, the BRICS Grain Exchange. I never heard of that until recently. Why isn't that all over the news? Because this shows you that many of the world's economies, aka the BRICS, do not need America. They're creating their own food securities. This is happening now. And this is why we can't be ignorant in matters small or great. This is a great matter that's going to affect us in this country. This is why it goes back to us having our own food storages, that if we go off the grid, we can grow our food, we can preserve, we can work together. Because when ish hits the fan, and you may not be able to get it, we saw it in the COVID. A lot of us, you go to the store, there was no meat on the shelf, there was no eggs, toilet paper was like a gold if you found it in the store. That happened in the last 4 or 5 years during COVID. It's gonna happen again. So when we hear things like this, these other nations are like, we're not going to wait on the U.S. We're not going to wait in these white countries. We're going to create our own. And this is what's happening, and it started last year. Play on.
About farming, of course. It's about who controls food and at what price.
Государств БРИКС входят в число крупнейших мировых производителей зерновых, зернобобовых и масличных культур. В этой связи предложили открыть зерновую биржу БРИКС, которая будет способствовать формированию справедливых и
During the Ukraine war, when everyone says, oh, Russia's going down, they had, I think there's hundreds and hundreds of sanctions thousands of sanctions that the U.S. put on Russia. All during that, they're kicking the hell out of the Ukraine in the war. And last year, they created a BRICS grain exchange, showing you the U.S. perception of how the West is nothing compared to the reality. How is Vladimir Putin and Russia and BRICS creating a whole separate grain, and it's not being talked about? Because we, as Americans, are very ignorant. This is why we got to come out of this mainstream news. Okay? Play on.
Ценовых индикаторов на продукты и сырье с учетом его особой роли в обеспечении продовольственной безопасности. Временем можно было бы подумать и о трансформации зерновой биржи в полноценную.
So he's saying, look, we'll start off with the grain exchange, and then we're going to go on to products. Meaning we don't need your Western dollar anymore. We'll trade with our BRICS countries, with our agriculture, with our other commodities, with our goods, with our oil. We don't need you. We don't need your sanctions. Your sanctions don't affect us anymore. They're creating a separate economy. Okay? Play on.
BRICS Plus nations now account for over 50% of global grain production. That includes wheat, corn, soybeans, and other core staples that feed billions of people worldwide. So let's break down the numbers. China leads with more than 700 million tons of grain produced.
So real quick, again, we're going to make a comparative analysis. We talked about the 17 rare earth elements / minerals. Then we went to see the 8 top countries, and we found that most of them were in BRICS. Now we're going to talk about grain and agriculture production. Let's see if we see a similar pattern. Play on.
Follows with 322 million tons,
Go back to China again, because we see a pattern here. They might have missed it at home.
Можно было бы подумать и о трансформации зерновой биржи в полноценную товарную биржу.
BRICS Plus nations now account for over 50% of global grain production.
So all the global grain in the whole world, BRICS accounts for over 50% of the grain. Over 50%. And that doesn't even include all the nations that are invited but are not partner nations or nations. There are many more that are waiting to get on the list. So they already have the majority of grain production. Watch what they say. Read on. Play on.
That includes wheat, corn, soybeans, and other core staples that feed billions of people worldwide. So let's break down the numbers. China leads with more than 700 million tons of grain produced.
Stop. China number 1. They're in BRICS. Play on.
Brazil follows with 322 million tons, dominating soy and corn. Russia, with 125 million tons produced,
so far, 3 of the countries they're mentioning all are in BRICS. So do you think it was an accident in 2008 when they decided to form these nations? Because God put it in all these leaders' spirits to do these things, because it's going to be a culmination of everything that's going to happen when all these nations gather together in the Armageddon, the Valley of Mageddon, and all of these things. They're going to happen. God is setting everything in order. And we're seeing it right now. This is why we don't know when Christ could come back in 10 years. We don't know. We do not know. This is why we got to gather together. You better get your gardens ready. You better get your stuff ready. I know in New Orleans, we making a big push. Obviously, Yas will tell you, we're making a big push. We must understand that when this dollar goes down, when this country economically, and it's going down now, what are we going to do? We have to have a plan in place. And guess what? The BRICS nations, they're not waiting for the U.S. They're not waiting. They're doing stuff right now.
Yep.
Okay? Play on.
It's a wheat powerhouse of the world. India produces over 110.
Wait a minute. That's another BRICS nation. Another BRICS nation. So Esau think he's slick having you believe. Now, yeah, Esau got the big military still. But the problem is, that when you have all these nations come together economically, militarily, that's what it's going to take, along with Europe turning on the great whore. Everybody going to turn against this place, okay? That's why Isaiah prophesied. Is this the man that did weaken the nations? Play on.
million tons, while South Africa, with 15 million tons produced, anchors corn exports in Africa. This isn't a coincidence, of course. This is strategic. Launched in 2022, the BRICS Plus Grain Exchange was designed to challenge
I said 2020. It's 2022. I stand corrected. Play on.
Western dominance in agricultural markets in order to allow countries of the global south to improve their sovereignty, their food security, and also to decrease outside threats to their population. Here's how it works. Grain is traded in local currencies, not US dollars, within the grain exchange. Prices are set internally by the BRICS members. They're not dictated or rather manipulated by Chicago or European exchanges. Member nations buy and sell directly with each other. So it is a win-win for any country that is either a full member of the BRICS Plus Alliance or those states who are currently partners.
Pause. Now pull up all of the BRICS nations and the partner nations, and I want to pull up a map. What we are witnessing right now, if they can do this with grains and agriculture, they can do it with other commodities like oil, like natural gas, like weapons, like computer chips, like we did the rare earth. When all of the 5 of the 8 countries were BRICS nations that were controlling the 17th most precious rare earth minerals. Pull up that. We only have about 15 minutes to go. So the BRICS countries are?
The BRICS countries are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, plus Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Indonesia, and the United Arab Emirates.
Those are the actual full-fledged members. Remember, Saudi Arabia got invited, and they turned down. Now, pull up the partner nations.
Yeah, let's remember that Putin gave Kim Jong-un, he gave him some, what it was, Maybachs or some sort of military, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Gave him gifts. He was riding around and getting it out in Pyongyang.
Mm-hmm. Damn. So this is, can we get a list of the names? So if you type in BRICS partner nations, it should give you a list. It's really not hard to find, man. I found it in like 10 seconds.
You know what's interesting, Cap, about the grain situation, and you hear a lot here in America, is the farmers here are complaining because of the tariffs and everything, because we sold a lot of export grain and stuff, and now other nations are turning them down, so the farmers here are not going to make the profits. It's going to hurt them bad.
And this is why this is why when you have a sinking ship, you do desperate things, and that's what's going on. The partner, okay, here it is. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. What countries are partners with BRICS? On the last few days of the Russian BRICS presidency, Belarus, Bolivia, Kazakhstan, Cuba, Malaysia, Thailand, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Nigeria were announced as partner countries of the group as of January 1st, 2025.
So now we covered this in many shows. I want you to pull up a map of the BRICS partner nation. I think you had it up earlier. When you look at the total full members and the partners and then all of the invited members to come, you're going to find it's going to be close to 2/3 of the world's population. It's absolutely amazing. Is that it? Okay. All right. So the all right. So is orange BRICS, and the light orange is the new, right? The new BRICS. Where does it say? Okay, new BRICS. So if you look at the Indonesia, okay, that's a huge set of island population.
Yep.
You have Nigeria, Uganda. I wish you can't get a list of the damn names. No, you did the list. Okay. All right. Last thing. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Put up the invited members. Like there's another countries waiting, or invited countries that are waiting to get in. Do the best you can. Because what was go ahead, bring it out.
Yeah, why they what people are not realizing, the paper dollar, when you're hungry and nobody wants to take your money, he's like, okay, I'll give you wheat for corn.
Mm-hmm.
They trading amongst themselves. You can't
Barter
come in with
system.
there it is.
And so this is where there's an old expression, money doesn't grow on trees. But there's going to come a time where that satsuma bush, and you got 20 of them planted, and you're producing thousands of satsumas, and a bag of satsumas costs $6 at the store, and you got thousands of them. This is where we need to get on point. So hit that. This is what I want. Scroll. Beautiful. Okay. These. No. You. Okay. I want to look at the list, please. Stop right there. Stop right there. Okay, so it says this means, okay, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt. Now, scroll down right there. Okay, these are the joining 10 BRICS members, partner nations: Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Thailand, Uganda, Uzbekistan. Okay, now, scroll down a little bit more. Okay, right here. Okay, what does this say?
Original. The
Belarus.
one that was at the top was the most recent list.
Okay. Is there anything else? Anyways, when y'all get some time, look at all the nations that are waiting. They're on a waiting list. And if they could have joined by now, but BRICS is actually vetting them. They're not just willy-nilly. So when you look at all the nations that are waiting to get on, if they already control 50% of the grain right now, with just when they get 10, 20 more nations, they're going to create a market where they're trading and buying and selling with each other without the U.S. dollar transaction. It's not needed anymore. Okay, so this is very important. Now, before we go to Lardback Attack, go to Professor. This is timestamp. There's 2 timestamps. So oftentimes we cover Colonel McGregor or former Marine Corps officer and weapons inspector Scott Ritter. Today, this is a professor of, I forget the guy's name. He's a sharp guy, boring as hell and dry as hell, but he's sharp. So they're going to discuss trade war and China, and this is on Judge, okay, John Mersheimer. Okay. 1419.
What are the short and long-term effects of 245% tariffs on Chinese goods?
I think that there are going to be very few goods, except the ones that he exempts, like computers and iPhones, that come into the United States. I think there's no question that the American economy is going to be badly hurt. I think there's no question that the Chinese economy is going to be hurt as well. The question of which side is hurt more is an open question. If I had to bet, I would bet, and I'm not an economist, so this is just, my gut, based on reading lots of stories in the newspapers, that the Chinese will come out of this better than we will. I think we have done a lot of damage to ourselves in terms of dealing with the rest of the world as a result of the way these tariffs have been handled. And I think it's going to cause Trump a lot of trouble on the home front.
So Professor John Mersheimer basically saying, look, the trade war is a bad idea. It's going to hurt China more than it's going to hurt the United States, the U.S. more than it would hurt China. Now, watch the next clip, because there's a one of the TikTok videos we talked about earlier. There's a Chinese man who's a businessman, and he's given a historical breakdown in about 2 minutes, and this guy spot everything that Captain Matt said, Officer Mike, he literally summarized absolutely perfectly. Chinese, they understand what a lot of us understand, but the political officials who we vote in to save us, they do whatever the hell they want. Watch the next clip.
This influencer on TikTok who speaks English has made a fascinating clip directed at the American people. And the first time I saw it, I said to Chris, we got to play this for Professor Mersheimer. We got to have his comments on it. So it's a minute and a half long, but it's in English, and it's fascinating. And I want to discuss it with you after we watch it together. Chris, cut number 20.
They rob you blind, and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs won't ship your job to China. Not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people. My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulate the market, dodged tax, and poured billions into endless wars. And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare costs, cheap dopamine, debt, and flagged wave probably made in China while they pick your pocket. For 40 years, both China and the United States benefit from the trade, the manufacturing, but only one of us use that wealth to build. This isn't China's fault. This is yours. You let this happen. You let the oligarchs fit your lies while they made you fat, poor, and addicted. Now they blame China for mess they made. I don't think so. I don't think you need another tariff. You need to wake up. You need to take your country back. I think you need a revolution.
Pause. He just said a whole lot. He just would bring it up. What he blew me away. I watched this twice, and this is the third time I'm seeing it. What he broke down is when he said 40 years. We go back 40 years. That takes us back to 1985, Reaganomics. You mentioned it earlier.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when they allowed the World Trade Organization, China was not a power in the late 70s. They became a power in 2000. Things changed. Yeah. Things changed. And in 2016, I had another video, but we don't have time. You can see where export and manufacturing, China took over as the world leader in 2016. And that was right when that was right during Trump's first term, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When he come in? 18? When he
16.
16, right. This is why there's a trade war. America is this ship that's slowly sinking. China is rising, but the one thing that the Most High put in their spirit is that Esau is a cunning hunter and war is in his heart. So what you're going to find is the only way you can bring this man down is if everybody turn on him. I want two scriptures before we go to Lardback Attack. We bring it up. I want Isaiah 14 and Revelation 17. This whole show is to show you that we're living in the very last days. We're showing you that the age of decadence and the decline, the decline of America, the de-dollarization of America, and how it is a fractured kingdom, divided amongst itself and imploding upon itself. Mm-hmm. We have to unite as the Israelites. Mm-hmm. So all this is going on. Let's not fear. Let's help each other save money in our cars. Let's grow our own food. Let's help each other to work on our houses so we don't have to pay these big let's keep the money in our nation so we can build. We got to do that, y'all. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 11.
Yeah, let me see 10.
Verse 10. And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we?
Right, because the nations, at one point, the U.S. controlled and bullied everybody. And now, like, wait a minute, hold up. Are you now weak as we? Because although China is powerful economically with manufacturing, when it comes to the military, they cannot touch the U.S. And they know that. That's why they're whooping their ass in the trade war. Read.
Art thou become like unto us?
Right.
Thy pomp is brought down to the grave.
Your pride, that's why the Chinese guy said, yeah, and you have flag, probably made in China. Mm-hmm. And you got your pride in your flag. Read.
And the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee.
Read on.
And the worms cover
If
thee.
a worm is spread under you, that means you're about to die. Read.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Lucifer is not an angel in the sky. That's Satan's seat is getting cast down. Read.
Son of the morning.
Read.
How art thou cut down to the ground?
Because in order to be cut down, you have to be way up here. You ever heard that term? You're going to get cut. Keep up. You're going to get cut down. That means you're going to fall. Babylon is falling. Read.
Which didst weaken the nations.
And that's what they did. They weakened the nations. And now you got countries like BRICS who have a grain pact started 3 years ago. No one knows about it. 50% of the world's grains are controlled by the BRICS nations. More than 50%. We're seeing a change in the guard right now. I had another article about the Golden Dome. Donald Trump is actually going to employ SpaceX and other corporations to build a dome that covers the continental U.S. That's why he wants literally to have Canada and Greenland so that from the U.S. up all the way, all of that is one area. He wants to build a dome over that to control that. That's why they're doing it. Read on.
For thou hast said in thine heart.
This is what Esau said in his heart. Read on.
I will ascend into heaven.
Man, the Russian white man did the same damn thing. But it was the U.S. that led all of those subsequent missions. Read on.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
That's what he did. Read it.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation.
Right. And just like Officer Yasser mentioned earlier, we came out of slavery, came out of Jim Crow and segregation, came out of the civil rights era. And there's a movie called The Help. Sisters got college degrees, all kind of, can't even get a job, but as a doggone nanny and a friggin' maid. This is the story of the black men in America. This is the story of the Hispanic man, the Native American on the reservation. Can't even get a job if he wants to keep any type of cultural identity. Read on.
In the sides of the north.
That's talking about North America. And by the way, shout out to Bishop Nathaniel, there are many more Israelites throughout the earth than in North America. Look at Africa. There's over 350 billion in just Africa alone on the continent. So we can't say all of us and a lot of us in North America, but guess what? There's a whole lot of millions and billions more outside. Did I say? I didn't say. I'm sorry. 350 million, not 350 billion.
But that
Correction.
was just the Bantu. That was the Bantu he said. He said it was the Bantu, which makes us not the minority. I just have to bring that up.
So no, that's a heavy point because, and then you got the whole continent of South America, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of our people. Yep. Okay, don't forget the Solomon Islands and other islands of the sea. Read on.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
That's what he did. Neil Armstrong, doggone SpaceX, all these different things, the Wright brothers, all these different historical timeline markers. Read on.
I will be like the Most High.
Right, and then he tried to be like God. That's why he paints himself as God and puts himself in a position because the white man got a God complex. Read.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell.
And this is the point. This is the beginning of Babylon's fall. You got a president that is talking with so much pomp and pride, creating a tariff war within less than 3 weeks, he already folded. 145%, but not on smartphones, not on chips. Those are the things you need the most. So they don't got no power. They are fallen. Read.
To the sides of the pit.
Right.
When
you fall into a pit, what does that mean? That means your reign is done. A king don't fall in a pit. They're going down. Read.
They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee.
Because in order to narrowly look upon somebody, you got to first see them as, wow, bigger than life. Wow, come to America. That's why they made a movie with Eddie Murphy. He's a king in Africa, and he's amazed to come to America. But then when he come to America, you realize it's a crap hole. And that's what a lot of people are realizing. America is a hollow shell of a kingdom. Read.
And consider thee, saying, is this the man?
Is this the man? Is this man, the one you talked about for all these decades? Read on.
That made the earth to tremble?
How did he do that? Hiroshima, Nagasaki, 1945. He ended the war, and nobody messed with the U.S. since. Well, guess what? The changing of the guard is happening. Read on.
That did shake kingdoms.
He shook kingdoms. Read on.
That made the world as a wilderness.
Well, how did he do that? Anything. Look at the white man's doing right now in Gaza Strip. Why are they doing that? Why do they care about that one piece of real estate known as great real estate? I'm going to put my condos. It's great. The Mediterranean's right there. Why? Because when you cut a channel through the Gaza Strip from the Sinai Peninsula through the Red Sea, what do? Now you control damn near 30% of all trade that comes from the Mediterranean Sea in Europe all the way down to the Indian Ocean. That's what their motive is. That's why they have to eradicate the Palestinian Arab from the land of Gaza. Read on.
And destroyed the cities thereof.
That's what he did. Look at Gaza in the last 18 months. You can't even recognize. He destroyed, obliterated the doggone cities of Gaza. And that's a city of 2.5 million Arabs. Majority Arabs. Read.
That opened not the house of his prisoners.
Now, we're going to just stop right there. We're showing you that it's going to keep happening. All you got to do is do not just, you should check out sources like Al Jazeera, okay, routers. Look at other sources, and you have to dig. Like when we do these, like I have to research for days because I have to find it, reach this, do this. It's not like, well, you can just go and, no, you have to look for the things that's going on in the news and then research and cross-reference. Anyways, get Revelation chapter 17. Because right now, the European Union is not fully divided with the U.S. Like today, they had the Italian president, who's a woman, who met with Trump, and they were talking about all the ties. But there are some, like for example, some of the BRICS nations are having ties with some of the European leaders. Remember, France tried to join friggin' BRICS. They were shut down. Mm-hmm. NATO is weakening. Without the U.S., guess what? They're already talking about creating their own military infrastructure. All this is going down right now. Read on.
The book of Revelation, chapter 17 and verse 15.
We bring this out probably every third show. This is important. Why? Yes, all these, it's no wonder why China, Russia, and a lot of these other nations are bucking up against the U.S. But what about the greatest allies, which are the 10 common markets, the EU? What about them and NATO? When this gets fulfilled, you're going to know this kingdom is done. Read.
And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth,
right,
are people and multitudes and nations and tongues.
And nations and tongues. Read on.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast,
yep,
these shall hate the whore.
The 10 horns is talking about the EU, NATO, the European countries. Those are the 10 horns that were attached to the great whore. They're part of them. So if I'm part of somebody's face, that means where they move, I go with them. If I'm a part of you, wherever you go, I go. I follow. I'm a part of you. Read on.
And shall make her desolate and naked.
Okay.
And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
Watch this.
For God had put in their hearts to fulfill his will.
Yes.
And to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast.
Where does it says that shall hate the whore? Do you read that yet?
Yes, sir. I'll read it.
Read it again.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 17, verse 16.
We almost done.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast.
Which the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. Read on.
These shall hate the whore.
These are going to hate the whore. If they do that, that means they are going to separate. There is going to be a war. And it's going to start with trade, it's going to be economics, and it's going to lead to physicality. That's the only way that a country, Babylon the Great, with 845 listed publicly military bases is going to friggin' go down. No other way. So with that, we are your hosts, Precept upon Precept. One more time, Cap, if we got to continue to plug. Booster Club, Booster Club, Booster Club. As you men come up in ranks, as you men get more responsibility, you're going to travel too, okay? You brothers and sisters at home, you are making it possible for us to travel the world because God said, according to Isaiah 11:11, we must go to all these places where the dispersed of Judah and the outcasts of Israel will be. So understand that. We're going to go to our next Lardback Attack very quickly, and we're going to close it out. Shalom. Stick with it.
You can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Welcome to the Lardback Attack. Now, I just want to remind a little bit of housekeeping real quick. You fatback, lard-ass, lazy, fat bears. Men's conference is going to be here in less than 4 months, and I don't want to hear anything about, oh, a year wasn't enough. Nobody care. There's already implementations to keep your fat asses grounded. You show up at men's conference in the red or yellow, don't cry. You have a year, and 1 year, in a goddamn year, you can't get. You got Cap Yadon and went from the red to the green. Other mighty men have done it in 3-4 months. Hey, Lardass, you still got almost 4 months to get there. So show up out of order, and there's going to be a consequence. And it's your fault, not mine, Lardass. Let's go to Dr. Now. Dr. Now is excellent. I would like to call him the master fat shamer. And now they dubbed him with a Jamaican accent, and he's going to criticize a very fat Judite sister. Let us all listen with great glee.
I think I've lost maybe 100 pounds.
Right now, me I look on you right now. There is no way in hell you lose 100 pounds. What part are you? No, man, you're lying.
Dr. Now, I promise I'm doing everything you told me to do, and I'm losing a lot of weight. I'm kind of frustrated right now because I weighed myself this morning. The scale's not going down to the number that I think it should be at because I know, I've lost 100 pounds since starting the program, and it's just not showing that.
So what the scale say?
It says 583, but that's only about 20 pounds less than last time, so I know that can't be accurate, so I think the scale is off.
The scale off? Right now you look like a Cornish hen, an oversized Cornish hen. You don't lose no weight. Right now you have to sit down there and tell me you lose weight and you lose over 100 pounds. You don't look like you lose no pound. You keep on telling me the scale a lie. A person still did the way we are you?
Yeah, she's still here.
Listen, I want you to get your chubby ass back on the scale. I want to see this myself. So what the scale say, I can't barely see it. How I say?
That's not right, Dr. Now, because it's higher than before, and that's not right.
You weigh 580 pounds. You only lose 20 pounds. Now you talk about you lose 100 pounds. This is not your everyday scale. You can't fool the scale. You can't fool nobody. You're still fat. My girl, you can't go around and think you don't lose a pound.
No, I am, Dr. Now, because I can feel it.
He asked the nurse to weigh Karen again just to clear any doubts.
All right, she weigh you again, and this time you even weigh higher. That telling me you not lose no weight. You never did lose weight. You no lose 100 pounds. You are a courageous liar. That's what you are. The nurse tell me when she come over there the first time, all she seen at your trash can was Chick-fil-A bags. That's all you yam. Fast food. And you act like you work out and you no do nothing for lose weight. So you can't fool me. You no lose no weight. Right now, me done
Give me one last chance, Dr. Now.
How many chances you want me give you? Me give you a whole bunch of chances you not do nothing with it.
I'm going to lose more weight and be at the goal that you want, and I'm going to go to the local clinic.
All right, hey. So, look, and that's our sister, and at the end of the day, we got a real, and the Chinese guy even said on the video, he said, look, he said, for the last 40 years, and now you end up fat, sick, high healthcare costs, because we have trusted in this country to tell us what foods to eat. Now, this is years ago. Shout out to Deacon Asaph, put me on to this guy about 8-9 years ago, and I oftentimes will reference him because, and they try to. He's an Edomite. You can still learn something from him. And they meter this guy's videos. He used to get millions and millions of views, and now he gets a couple 100,000. The problem with you lard asses is men and women, if you do not fix your insulin, you're going to have a very hard time losing weight long term. Insulin is a hormone. This is a short video, 7 things that can make you more insulin sensitive. If you're insulin resistant, that means you're on your way to becoming a diabetic. When you're insulin sensitive, that is a good thing. You want your insulin to become sensitive. Even your brothers that's in shape, okay, you can be insulin resistant, which can lead to, that's why some skinny people get diabetes too, and they're not even fat. We got to control our insulin, okay? It's very important. Let's let this guy tell you.
About the 7 things that can make you more insulin sensitive. Now, What does that mean, insulin sensitive? Well, to understand it, you have to understand the opposite of that, which is insulin resistance. And that's a situation where your cells, the receptor for insulin is blocking insulin. So it's not allowing insulin to go into the cells. So we don't have the function that insulin should have normally. So then the body doesn't get the signal, so it starts putting more and more and more insulin out. So sometimes you have between 7 and 9 times the amount of insulin in your body because of insulin resistance. And insulin is very, very important, not just in regulating blood sugars, but also in helping you absorb nutrients and keeping insulin at a normal level.
Pause. That's why a lot of fat people, because they don't have, they're insulin resistant, they're not getting the nutrients in their cells. That's why they feel the need to keep eating and eating and eating. It's a sick cycle. So when you fix and make your insulin more sensitive, then the foods you eat, but you have to change the quality of food you're eating to more whole foods, then the amounts you're eating are going to go into the cell. This is the problem. This is why I tell all your brothers, I'm not a doctor, but I listen to people and I pay attention. If you have a problem with insulin resistance, you have to do the things he's going to say to fix it. One thing he's going to talk about is resistance training or weight training. Another thing is don't eat 9 times a day. Eat once a day, twice a day. Do more water fasting. Do more biblical dry fasting, okay, which is no food, no water. When you do these things, you make your body more insulin sensitive. We're going to play on.
I said before, the more insulin resistance you have, the more insulin you're going to have, the more problems you're going to have. You're going to gain weight. In the presence of insulin, you can't lose weight, and your body's going to be storing and converting carbs into fat. So what we want to do is we want to reverse this and improve insulin resistance by making insulin more sensitive, okay? And these are the things that will help you. Resistance training. So this is the type of workout that you'd want to do to get the maximum results. And I put a link down below to give you more data on this type of workout. However, you can actually do long walks, which also will help, but this is actually more powerful. Okay, number 2, fasting will improve insulin sensitivity. At the very minimum, you want to fast for 16 hours with an 8-hour eating window.
So, Paul, this is what I've been talking about for years and years and years, and I don't agree with that. An 8-hour eating window is too much. You brothers that are trying to lose weight, you brothers who are 50, 100 pounds or more, you should eat 1 time a day. Why? Because you're only spiking your insulin 1 time over, you're going to correct your insulin sensitivity. When you eat that 1 meal a day and you eat healthy, whole foods, low carbohydrate, low sugar food, your body will fix itself. And then when you implement, so if you, let's say, for example, you brothers, you do 23 hours with nothing but water, black coffee, green tea, non-caloric foods. So you can have salt in that. And then when you eat maybe you eat for an hour and you have whole, healthy foods, 2 things going to happen. 1, you're going to help fix your insulin. Number 2, by default, lard ass, you're going to be in a calorie deficit. Say your fat ass needs 2,200 calories to maintain your body fat, and you eat 1 big meal. That's like, say, 1,200 calories. That's a lot of food, 1,200 calories. Because you're doing that, guess what? You're in a 1,000-calorie deficit. Where is it going to take the friggin' calories from? Your fat, lard ass, is stored. Fat is, by default, termed stored energy. When you eat 1 time a day, you're fixing your insulin. When you eat that 1 time, you're eating a good amount of food, but you're going to be in a significant calorie deficit. You're not going to die, lard ass. Your body must make up the deficit by taking calories stored on your fat, giant, fat back love handles side, lard ass. And then it makes up the maintenance. And then over time, week after week, you're going to lose fat. And if you're resistant training while you're doing that and eating a certain amount of protein, you can at least preserve muscle while you do that. And I've got brothers, we all praise to the Most High, got dozens and hundreds of brothers in IUIC who have changed their body composition since men's conference, lost 50, 60, 70 pounds of fat, and gained 20, 30 pounds of muscles. They look like completely new dudes. Why? They're eating 1 time a day. They're friggin' eating good, healthy, whole foods and low sugar, and they're strength training. It just works. But you lard asses are so weak, you won't even put it to the test. I'm sorry, I got to talk to this. No, I ain't sorry. Play it again.
Not depending on glucose anymore. It is burning your own fat. And so it's giving the pancreas a chance to heal and work correctly. All right, number 3, decrease inflammation. So if you get rid of inflammation, you make insulin more sensitive. And I put a link down below of all the things that you can do to reduce inflammation. But of course, fasting will be the biggest trigger.
So real quick, and I have to speak from experience. So I'll give an example today, right? And I've been doing this every day. Most of the times I go, sometimes I eat 2 times a day, but typically I go at least 20 hours every day before I have any caloric uptake. That's typical. So throughout the day, this morning I had water, I had carbonated water, I had black coffee and regular. That's it. And then I first started eating, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, something around that time. And then I have my last food maybe about 2 hours ago. That's it. I'm done. Till tomorrow, maybe 5, 6 o'clock, I eat again. It's easy to do. Okay? Now, if I was fat, and a big lard ass, then I would eat just 1 time a day, and I would eat in the 1 hour window. So as you get in, it will fix it. And this is why at almost 50 years old, I feel the same as I did when I was 25. I really, really do. Because I practice what I'm preaching. Okay? And just try it, lard ass. Play. Almost done.
To do vitamin D as well. Reducing glucose will make insulin sensitive again, and that's the low-carb diet. That's the healthy keto. All right, number 5, increasing sleep. Increasing sleep will do several things. Number 1, it reduces stress. It reduces...
Okay, so now pause. We're going to go. So sleep is very important. So in a nutshell, go back to the list and we're going to close out. I don't want to hold everybody up here. So this is very important because I'm making a proclamation. Every single brother and sister in IUIC, in our people, if you want to fix your metabolic problems, you must fast daily. It's called intermittent fasting. And then when you do that, you fix your insulin. It's going to help regulate minerals and nutrients going into your cell. You're sick because you keep eating. You're not getting the vitamins and minerals and things into your cells. How do you fix it? Fix your insulin. Low carbohydrate for now. Strength train. Get sleep. Just try it. Give it 90 days. You're going to feel like a new person. Got one brother just made it to the green. He was like 250-something pounds, and he got down to 212. But what happened is it only looked like he lost 34 pounds, but he lost a lot more pounds of fat. I think he probably lost closer to 60 pounds of fat. But then he gained a whole bunch of muscle and he looks completely different. People at the job are like, what are you doing? And would you lose 100 pounds? He said, no, I only lost this much. Because he changed his body. He fixed his insulin. He gained a lot more muscle, and these things happen. So, look, last thing, sleep, stress. How do you get stress down? When you eat less frequently, your body goes into preserve mode. And last thing, veggies. When you're eating low carb, you should eat more vegetables. Forget about the rice. Forget about the breads, the pastas, the cereals, the donuts. Eat more veggies as your carb. Carbs are very low carbohydrate fiber. Anyways, that's it. With that, I'm Captain Shem. Thank you for sticking around. We made time, exactly 2 hours. With that, we say shalom. Most High in Christ bless.
Yeah, you can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Going all in.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Thank you so much for sticking around for Precept Upon Precept. We know that most people are asleep right now. Please share the link tomorrow. Our YouTube page, Twitter, Rumble, all the different social medias. Also, last time, let's go ahead and plug the Booster Club, okay? Not only the Booster Club, but also we have this this Sunday coming up is a major land blitz where we are going to, with the Spirit of the Lord and the spirit of charity on you, brothers and sisters, cheerful givers, we are going to meet our goal, Lord willing. Cap, you have something you want to bring up? Major news coming up in Israel.
Yes. So my time on Precept Upon Precept is coming to a close. I am technically IUIC Baton Rouge, and we will be coming up with a radio show ourselves, and it's going to be entitled 12 Gates Radio. All right, 12 Gates Radio. So we will be coming with that shortly. Y'all be on the lookout with IUIC Baton Rouge. All right.
Cap, you shouldn't have pulled that on me like that.
Hey, I tell you what, and this is why Captain Matt is doing big things. He is a resident captain in Baton Rouge. This was counted upon. We don't do things willy-nilly. It was just strategic, and great things are going to come out of Baton Rouge, even greater things, and we pray that this show is going to be a success. And Cap will be back on Precept to my Precept. He'll be coming back, of course, but we got to continue to grow. So y'all support 12 Gates Radio. Stand by for a time slot. It's going to come soon, and we need everybody to watch Precept on Precept. Everybody going to go watch that show as well, even more, Lord's will. So all praise to the Most High. We are your hosts. I'm Captain Shem.
Captain Matt.
Officer Micah.
Officer Yasser.
And with that, brothers and sisters, we say
Shalom.
There's a special place that I like to go, but nobody's home, to increase my understanding, my daily bread that amazing. I'm talking about precepts, precept on precept, line upon line, precept on precept, line upon line. Nothing wasn't nothing.